Hi, I'm Sue Stuart, and I'm a painter, and I have a painting in this year's Mohawk-Hudson Regional. So in the 1970s, my husband Bruce and I moved to Albany, New York. I got my Master of Arts from the State University of New York at Albany, and I taught for the North Colony School District. And in the 1990s, I received a year sabbatical from them. I had the privilege of working with Rudolph Baranek in the Art Students League for that year, and that's in New York City. And then following that, I worked for the Marie Walt Sharp Art Foundation Summer Art Program at Colorado College in Colorado Springs. Okay, so I'm in my studio today, and I want to show you some of my paintings and then what specifically led to the piece that's at the regional. I started doing buildings, architecture, very much influenced by the architecture from Albany, but I feel I'm innately attracted to architecture. The geometry in structure, I do feel drawn to. I absolutely feel the majesty of being in great architecture. Visiting a great cathedral, for example, I find very moving. And so I thought when I started doing architecture as a series, I thought I could bring some emotion to everyday buildings. And in fact, initially I did paintings of lifeguard stands. I did paintings of bridge pylons, and then of course building facades. And about 12 years ago, I came across an abandoned building site, and it was a large construction site. It just happened to be the right time of day, the right time of year, and the light cast on the building materials and the shadows that were cast by these materials and the positive and negative spaces, the patterning and so forth. For me, that was an abstract painting. And from that point on, I just for inspiration, I went to construction sites. I have some pieces in the studio now that are for example, in the back room that is on the back wall that's of one of these buildings under construction, and on the side wall there's another. While I was working on this type of painting, I started a side series, smaller paintings, 22 by 22, simplified, definitely more abstract even. And when the initial one I started, I was thinking of coming across a 3-story wood frame building. Imagine if the facade has been cut off and you're looking again from a frontal view straight in, and you see the shapes of the different buildings, the different rooms within the building. So that's how I thought of it when I started painting. Once I started painting it, I would maintain the horizontal and vertical, but the shapes and colors in between those horizontals and verticals, I would become more spontaneous in the painting. And that's what I liked about doing them. About a year and a half ago, I thought I wanted to take this side series, I wanted to take it further. I thought I could do something more formidable with it. And it is these paintings that I'm talking about now that eventually led to the piece that's at the Albany Institute that's in the Mohawk-Hudson Regional. When I started these, I made up a series of these 22 by 22 canvases. I knew I wanted to become more expressive with the shapes, do something with the shapes, but I still wanted to maintain a reference to architecture, a horizontal or a vertical or a diagonal. Not having anything specific in mind, I just started painting. And the top 3 up there behind me are examples of that beginning of that grouping. While I was doing those, I was also doing these geometric paintings you can see in that photograph there, where I've maintained horizontal, verticals, leaving some negative space of the canvas showing through, really painting in a different way. I'm painting hard edge there, just because I like it. And so it's for aesthetic reasons that I kept doing it. Come this February, well, I had found out I was able to take the shapes further I got to the point where, and this is an example of where I would do a painting all in one sitting, and the brush stroke is more evident, the colors is a little bit brighter, and the color, it's just because it's a more spontaneous way of painting, that it has some life to it. Because I was still doing these geometric pieces, I didn't know how to reconcile them into one painting, so I just ended up stacking them. And once I stacked them and created these combos, I really saw them as a complete unit, and I saw them as a metaphor for a friendship with two people that are very different personalities, but the friendship is strong. A metaphor for a successful painting, two very different people, but the marriage is still strong, and again, I think it made me think that maybe it's the differences that add to the strength of the unit, and so it is these two pieces plus the picture right up there, which is of the actual work that's in the Mohawk Regional now, and the title of the work is Ellen's work number 3.